Hello, guys. How's everybody?
Everybody's great. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm not just saying this. You're a total pro. But you're calling playoff games where the Knicks are involved. And you've been a Knicks fan since you were a little kid, and you're the voice of the Knicks on the MSG Network. Is it tough to call it right down the middle on a national broadcast as you did in Game 4?
I don't think so. I certainly hope that's not what the viewers think. But I've done it enough times. I remember back in the 90s when I first did it a few times. I remember I kind of that was a little difficult because it was the first time I'd done those, and you really had to concentrate to make sure you gave the proper energy for both sides. But I've done so many of them that I really don't think it's a problem because you have a job to do. You put the headphones on. You have a responsibility to the viewers. You have a responsibility to the people you work with. And you try your best. And for me, my love of the game takes over. So, even, for example, Andrew Nimhart, who hit that incredible three-pointer at the end of Game 3, from a play calling standpoint, you have to be excited on a magnificent shot like that. And I was. And, I hope that it doesn't come across to the viewers, even to the point where it might even annoy Knicks fans who are used to me calling games and knowing, on the MSG Network where the allegiance lies when you do the local telecasts. But that's for the viewers to say. For me, I try and go right down the middle and give as much praise and as much criticism to both teams.
How did you consume last night's game, Mike? Were you there? Did you watch on TV?
Yeah, no, I was in the arena.
What's that
I've been
like?
trying to go to all the games. Well, you know what? It's wild. It's so much fun. You see the game from a different perspective. Number one that strikes me is the building is it's one of the special places in all of sports at a big event. And not just Knick games, but for Knick games, and to see the Knick fans rewarded with a team like this because they've been so hungry for a team like this for so long. It's thrilling. It's thrilling to see. The other thing for me watching, when you're calling a game, you have to kind of keep your eye on the ball and who has the ball. And when you're watching in the stands, like I like to watch off the ball stuff going on, who's defending, ball denial, who's setting screens, who's, all those type of things, who's moving without the ball on offense. So it's kind of a unique, different experience for me, and it in some ways it kind of helps you see different things that you wouldn't if you were calling the game.
Now, the constant reminders of 94, the similarities are there, right, Mike? As somebody that lived through that as closely as you did, are there similarities beyond what we just noticed of the two teams both playing well and the two teams competing for a championship? What other similarities do you sense from being a part of both?
Yeah, Don, the one similarity that sticks out is you in 94, you had a Hall of Famer leading the way. Jalen Brunson has a way to go before he's a Hall of Famer, but he has been a Hall of Famer this year. He's been an MVP candidate. So you have your star leading the way. Then you have these extraordinary role players who on many nights are able to rise above their norm and perform in the biggest games of their career with spectacular performances. And that's what we've seen from this team. And the other thing, too, is how well coached they were. A demanding, tough coach who does things the old-fashioned way, Riley and Thibodeau. That's another similarity. And the last one, and this is the one to me, the number one strength of this team is how connected they are, how well they play together, how well they play for each other. And that Knick team was as well back in 94.
But what about, I guess more specific, just the whole Ranger-Knick thing?
Forgive me. I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. Yeah, that was... for those who are part of that, like you couldn't wait. And it's the same thing now as a fan. Like, for example, I can't wait for the next Ranger game, to watch the next Ranger game. And it's like night after night at that place. And even when they're on the road, for those two teams to be competing at the highest level with a chance to win every night, it's what fans dream of. And, let's face it, the Knicks have had a lot of rough years, some exceptions here and there. So especially for the Knicks fans, it's, for example, I have two of my kids have gone to all the games. They're not kids anymore. They're 31 and 27. And they've never experienced this at this age. So for them, this is like unbelievable how much they can't wait and talking about it more. And I just was out running errands today, and every place I stopped, how about that game last night? Boy, is Brunson unbelievable. Everybody's talking about it, and that's the thing too, Don. You can't go anywhere in the city without people wanting to talk about, for me, with the Knicks, and I'm sure for you, when you go out, everybody wants to talk about the Rangers.
Well, you're telling me that somebody of your stature has to run errands? You don't have your people do it?
Oh, will you stop?
Come on, that's not
We're trying to forward that. You know who you're talking about.
Can't have a little fun, Don? Really, with my friend? Goodness gracious.
Don't you guys? No, you do this every time, you guys. You start talking to me, and then all of a sudden you're having arguments with each other. And I'm just sitting there on the phone.
You bring that out at us because we want to be protective, because he doesn't, he respect. So isn't it interesting, Mike, that he gives you this long soliloquy of how great you are when he introduces you, and then he treats you like that during the interview?
That's who he is.
All right, so Mike, let me ask you a better question. The way they performed in Game 4, could you have expected it to be almost the diametric opposite in Game 5? Did yesterday's performance surprise you? Did you think they were in big trouble after they got blown out in Game 4?
No, not in big trouble, but it was concerning how badly they were outplayed and how exhausted they looked in that game. Now, different variables went into it. You had a Friday night game, the Game 3, that was as intense as any I can remember in this year's playoffs. That whole fourth quarter of the Game 3 felt to me like the final minute of a Game 7. That kind of intensity every second. So that was one of those games. You lose that game, it's crushing because you put so much into it. Now you have a fairly quick turnaround with a team that's only playing 7 guys right now, and your star player has a foot that's not acting the way it's supposed to be. But it was still striking how badly. Now, so much of the credit has to go to Indiana. Indiana played one of the best games I've seen in the playoffs, as dominant as you can be. And this, the series is not over yet. The Pacers are a different team at home right now, and Game 6 is going to be an all-out slugfest. But that there was part of that went into what happened. The other thing too is you just didn't know about Jalen Brunson's foot. It was clearly he was not the same player. He would never say it. He wouldn't use it as an excuse. But he was clearly not the same player in 3 and 4, and you could see he didn't have the burst of speed. He didn't have lift on the jump shot. Last night, completely different. He had that same bounce. He had that same cutting ability back, and he was able to shred him. And right now it's the same thing with Indiana. Like Tyrese Halliburton was magnificent in Games 3 and 4, and so quiet last night. I thought last night he's been dealing with back spasms. I thought, and somebody who's had a bad back, he looked like he was stiff. So some of it depends on that. That's why you can never overreact to one win or one loss. I heard Don say this on the show, I think it was yesterday. It's part of the deal. You can get blown out by 35. It's happened over and over again recently where the team gets crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed and dominated, yet they can still win the series. And that's why you can't overreact to one win or one loss.
In this group, Mike, who do you think? I know the obvious answer will probably be Brunson, but I don't think that is necessarily the answer. Who do you think is the most quintessential Knick in this group? Which it's already such a Knick-like bunch, but who do you think stands out the most in that way?
Well, quintessential. What? Give me your definition of what you're looking for.
I guess what I'm looking for is gritty, heart. Fans fall in love because of the way they play the game. That sort of New York Knick energy.
Right. Well, Brunson has all of that, and plus he's the best player. But I think Josh Hart Josh Hart feels like somebody that's been on the Knicks for the past 10 years, and he's barely over a year as a member of the team. And that's pretty cool because of how he lays it out on the court. He's the one that puts forth the energy, and he was even the one that took the blame for the Game 4 loss. Said, "I'm the guy that's supposed to bring the energy, and I had nothing." But then again, DiVincenzo is the same way about him. Hartenstein has the same way about him. McBride has the same way about him. It's so many of them are the type of players that you would say would have fit in right perfectly with the 94 Knicks. That's the kind of style and that's the kind of player that New York fans have always loved.
Mike, we have been getting phone calls, yesterday particularly, following the Game 4, where Knick fans just, for some reason, they want to put all the blame of anything that goes wrong on Thibodeau. And then you hear Barkley say it. You hear Shaq say it. And then you hear Draymond come out and say that the thing's a fluke. And then the Knick fans, the Knick players, they actually defend Thibodeau, which I think is great. Mike, is it somewhere in the middle? Does he play guys too much? Or is this the right way to play, and the rest of the NBA doesn't want to play this way?
He wouldn't play them this many minutes if he had a bench. But many of the players who are playing all the minutes are his bench.
Right.
You look at back who started the season, and granted they made the trades, but Anunoby being gone is makes it difficult. Mitchell Robinson makes it difficult. Julius Randle makes it difficult. Those are three starters right there. So maybe Hart's coming off the bench now. Maybe DiVincenzo's coming off the bench, so they don't have to play that. But for him to win, for this team to win, he has to play these guys because the bench is so depleted. And that's one of the great things about this team. Think about it. I mean, during this stretch now, no Robinson, no Anunoby, no Randall, and here they are. They're one win away from the Eastern Conference Final. It's incredible, and his coaching is a major reason why. And also the front office, what they've done to put these particular players around Jalen Brunson is a major reason why, because they have the kind of character to be able to fight through the adversity, and that's what's been evident. Now that's one of the reasons why that New York has fallen in love.
Why do you think, though, Mike, that the poll that was taken amongst the players that Thibodeau's the coach they would least like to play for? What is it being said behind the scenes that obviously the Knick players think the complete opposite? Why do you think that that's the narrative?
Yeah, you'd have to ask the other players that. I mean, because of the reputation, how hard he works. So what players are basically saying, well, I don't want to work that hard.
Right.
Well, maybe they don't want to win that much because this group wants to win that much and are willing to work that hard. I'm sure, like any coach, and even the best ones, are driven crazy at times. There's some days they get mad at their coach. I'm sure the Spurs at times got mad at Greg Popovich. I'm sure the Heat players get mad at Eric Spoelstra. Well, certainly the same thing. Tom Thibodeau, I'm sure there's some days that they're fed up with him yelling at him. But they have such respect because they feel so prepared every time they take the floor. And he does not allow them to give excuses. All the sayings that they say after the game, these are all Thibodeau phrases. And they've embraced all those. And they see, again, the key thing is they see the result of his madness and how much he pushes them. And that's what they all want to play for. You become addicted to winning. You become addicted to nights like last night where the crowd just lifts you up because they're inspired by how hard you're playing.
Now, along those lines, you're hearing a lot of analysts, Draymond Green, Charles Barkley, the Knicks are, fake, this isn't real. Is that just because of their dislike for Thibodeau, or does it go deeper, or is it just performative? Let's tweak one of the biggest fan bases in the NBA and see if we can get some clicks.
No, first of all, I don't think it's a dislike for Thibodeau. I think it's sometimes disagree with his methods, but none of them have ever played for him, and they should talk to the players that have played for him. And I do think, with Charles, he loves to tweak. That's what he does. He does it all the time. I think if and I've heard him say it too, has such respect for what these guys have done, how they've worked and just battled and battled and battled to stay alive. But I think he's more tweaking than anything else.
Now, you look at the way this come down with the Knicks at one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. And I have said this throughout the last couple of weeks, Mike. I want to know if you agree with me. I think that this is the worst Knick team that we're going to see in the next 5 years. I think they are poised with their draft capital, with the good cap situation, to be even better than this. Do you think that this team's only going to get better? That's why I laugh when I hear Draymond Green say it's a fluke. I don't think it's a fluke. I think it's only going to get better because I think they're set up for the future beautifully.
I couldn't agree more, Michael. And a part of it is just basic continuity. It's one of the least talked about things about success for a team is that continuity. But what was the last dynasty? It's the Golden State Warriors. And Green and Thompson and Curry all played together 10 years together. I mean, they know each other in their sleep in terms of what they're going to do. The San Antonio Spurs, same thing. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. The continuity there, and the coaching staff, the same coaching staff. That it all has a lot to do with it. So when an occasional new face comes in, all of a sudden they're acclimated quickly because everybody's on the same page. And that's why Dante DiVincenzo, this is his first year with the Knicks. Now, he's obviously played with his college buddies before, but it's his first year, so next year he's going to be more comfortable. OG Anunoby didn't play a heck of a lot of games during the regular season. Next year, if they re-sign him, it's the same thing. He's going to be more comfortable. Now, a key this offseason is making sure that Anunoby's re-signed, making sure Hartenstein comes back. And those things are difficult because other teams are going to want these guys and might offer them a ton of money. So, there's still challenges to that. But I agree with you. The way it's set up right now with the talent they have, with the coaching staff they have, this chance to be better and better and better. Julius Randle's an all-NBA player. And I know, sometimes Knicks fans got on him, but the guy was, before his injury this year, was playing the best he's ever played in terms of team basketball. And you put an all-NBA player with this group, now all of a sudden you can never double-team Jalen Brunson. Now all of a sudden Dante DiVincenzo has many more wide-open threes. So it's a team that was really confidently, slowly but surely built, and here they are one win away from a conference final.
Of all the teams that's remaining, which one surprised you the most? I mean, did you think Denver was done when they lost the first two at home? Are you surprised it's 3-0? The Mavericks playing even with OKC. Anything surprise you?
You know what? The team that actually has surprised me is Dallas. OKC, just a great young team, and you knew they were going to have some ups and downs in the playoffs because for many of them it's their first playoff run. But Dallas is the team that has surprised me because they've transformed mid-season who they are. They were a team that could outscore you any night because of Doncic and Irving, and now they've become one of the better defensive teams in the entire league. One or two simple trades at the trade deadline completely transformed their defense, and now defense is contagious. Now you see Doncic playing defense. Kyrie Irving's played some great defense with the new additions they have. So that's the team that has surprised me. And they've got a chance to win this series, and they could battle anybody in the next round, whether it's Denver or Minnesota as well. So I would say Dallas.
Now, excuse my ignorance. Does ESPN, ABC have the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference Finals?
Eastern Conference.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
You would have been very upset if it was the Western Conference this year.
No, he's a professional.
I know he's a professional, but he wants to see the Knicks play.
No, I would love to be a part of a Celtic Knick one, but we can't put the cart before the horse. There's a win to be had. Indiana, like I said, Indiana is great at home. That is going to be an amazing Game 6. And then, as you guys know, anything can happen in a Game 7. So you can't start thinking ahead about it because this series is far from over.
Now, when your good friend Michael Kay describes a building as up for grabs, do you say that's a great description of what's going on, or do you, like Peter Rosenberg, say, I don't know what that means?
Up for grabs?
Yes.
Regarding a building?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I don't understand.
Like when
like the place is going crazy after a big home run. You go, this place is up for grabs.
Yeah, Martinez hit the home run against San Diego in '98. He's like, the Yankee Stadium's up for grabs. I thought it was terrific. Peter's like, I don't know what that means.
I guess Mike doesn't either by the tone of his voice.
No, I didn't know. When you said building, you didn't say arena or stadium, so I didn't know what you were talking about with that.
I still
but no,
don't.
that's a good, because here's what we try and do. We try and find different ways to say, it's electric in here or it's bedlam in here. So you need to find different things. Up for grabs. I like that. It's unique.
Can you use that on the next game you do?
I'm not going to steal that from you.
No, I'm giving it to you.
He respects you too much.
It's not a theft. I'm giving it to you.
Can't. He respects you.
What do you mean he respects me?
He respects you too much to do it.
Can you, the next big three, rather than bang, can you go three?
Oh, God.
See.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that I can promise you.
No, because when the Rangers got Patrick Kane, Michael started giving me calls like I should say Kane is able. And I said, look, I'm just going to do my own thing. I don't want to take somebody else's call. I just don't think that's good form.
I agree with you. Something that's so different, you don't want to steal it from somebody else.
Even if it's given to you, you don't want to take it.
Somebody gave me an idea to do during the Sixer series when Nick Batum was playing well and hit a bunch of big threes. They wanted me to say, Batum goes the dynamite.
Oh, no.
You know, I'm friends with that person.
Laugh, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. But it was funny. It made me laugh.
Well, you're probably feeling great these days, but the Mets' performance, does that bring you down a little bit?
Is he?
No, I'm okay with the Mets. I love what David Stearns is doing, and he's taking it one step at a time, not trying to skip steps. And we battled pretty well despite having very low batting average with some of our key players. Our pitching staff, despite missing our ace, is kind of hanging in there. So I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I like where we're heading.
Okay.
Wow.
No, I'm glad that he's happening.
See, what a mocking dismissal.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah, he's that guy.
What do you mean you like where we're headed? This year you like where you're headed?
You know what he meant, Michael.
I like the future of the franchise, because pretty soon there's going to be games at Citi Field where that stadium is up for grabs.
There it is. You see what he did?
You know what, Mike? I feel you're mocking me. So with that, we'll say goodbye. And I still love you, but I feel like I'm being mocked, and I'm not sure I love it.
It's mocked with love.
Yeah, that's the title of my 8th book, Mocked with Love. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the way, Mike. Hopefully we'll talk to you before the end of it all.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Take it easy.
As always.
You guys are the worst. You turn my best friend against me. That's what you do. That's the whole point of the 22 minutes. Let me see if I could turn Breen against Kay.
That's not what happened there.
What happened there?
You do it to yourself.
I don't do anything to myself.
And just how giddy where they are is in the voice and the sarcasm. And this is just supposed to be your friend, and you brought it up just to mock him that they're 4 games under 500. Don't tell me you didn't.
No, I didn't. I just wanted to know how he felt.
You heard Michael. You can't lie to our face like this. We heard the mockery. It was laughter.
You wouldn't know mockery if it slapped you in the face.
You'll know what a slap in the face is next time I see it.
Wow.
Really?
Whenever that is.
I think you were afraid of getting slapped in the face. That's why you didn't take the subway yesterday. That's it.
Please. Well, who do I sound
Total
like?
fear.
That's not me. That's not me.
Really? Okay.
Come on.
All right.
He's not as scared of the subway. That's not the reason. I don't know what he was thinking, but that wasn't one of the things he was thinking.
I was not as scared.
Did you have to take like a therapy dog? Is that the reason? You don't.
No therapy dog yesterday.
Interesting.
No.